Hey everybody, welcome back to the Mr. Beefy podcast. Today we talk about why this recession could be different. And for the most people, it's actually a kind of a good thing. But let's jump into it. So, in my past, I'd run multiple businesses, somewhat large in scale, somewhat small. I think the max I had was like 100 employees or something like that. Um, but with that, you could kind of gauge the business cycle that you were in. You're like, okay, now that's getting that time. I better start scaling back my inventory. So that's kind of what markets do, right? So in 2020, when the pandemics happened and stuff got shut down, all these manufacturers said, man, inventory is our worst enemy. We got to stop producing. When I seen that, I was like, we're in some doo doo. Buy everything. We went and bought a pool, side by side, all kinds of stuff, because I knew what was going to happen. Plus, we got everything on sale, and then, there she goes. But the markets do the same thing, right? But on way larger scales. Sorry about that. So you gotta look at it, right? So 2020 pandemic happens, everything shuts down. Fed, U.S. government's got to do something. They can't let the economy collapse, so they print 80% of the currency of the U.S. dollars in existence within let's say now we're at 36 months, right? So, um, with that, the market knew inflation was coming, so they jumped in Tesla, they jumped in EVs, SPACs, VCs, all this stuff, right? Highly speculative crypto, off to the races. Um, that set off some alarm bells because I was 17 years old during the dot-com bubble. I didn't forget some of that stuff. I watched my dad lose some money. So tech was the prince of the moment. Everybody was paying top dollar. It was bidding. I mean, you could pretty much name your price and you would get it. And that's from Facebook, Google, Tesla, Amazon, Microsoft, Salesforce. I mean, just across the board. I mean, everybody was just going ludicrous with stuff, except for one segment: manufacturing and trade. Gigantic shortages. And I do believe the unemployment figures are higher than what are the job opening situation is not as bad as what it looks. I think a lot of these jobs are overreported by tech, not manufacturing, but by tech. Because what they'll do is they'll say, okay, software engineer, you can work from home, and I'll advertise in uh, Tennessee, Alabama, Mississippi, Florida, Georgia, uh, Missouri, and all that stuff. I'll advertise all over there for the same position in those states, right? Well, that gets counted as the same job opening multiple times, right? So that's my um, thought on the employment situation. Now, manufacturing and trade, real problem, real problem. The most people that have those jobs now are baby boomers, and they're going to retire in mass here in about 5 years max. Um, and that's going to open up a whole host of issues. If you've been watching my channel, you understand where I sit on that. So, Amazon profits soar. Everybody was forced to stay at home and order online. I mean, if you were an e-commerce store, you couldn't have asked for a better situation. You give everyone boatloads of cash, helicopter drop them cash, and then you make them drive in one lane. That's like the perfect situation. You can pay somebody to develop it. But what happens when there's road construction and once it ends, it opens back up to 4 lanes? Everybody jumps in a different lane, right? And that's what we're seeing. Amazon started laying off 18,000 workers. Uh, And from what I understand, these are HQ positions and a part of the Alexa division. Salesforce laid off 10% of people. Facebook's laid off. I think Google will start laying off here before too long. Netflix, it's just across the board. Companies are going to sell. They're going to go under. Like Carvana and all this stuff. Like, it's more than likely going to happen, right? And this is why this recession may be different. I think for the first time in a long time, this will actually be a white-collared recession. What does that mean, Mr. Beefy? Well, boys and girls, that means if you're in a manufacturing job, you're probably going to be safe. Because you know why? You are a income generating tool. And some people can't get their mind around that, right? Just like real estate, you hear people buying investment properties. You, the manufacturing worker, are a investment property for the corporation. You produce goods that generate wealth for the corporation. And you're pretty hard to replace. And they spend a boatload of cash training you. So with a boatload of baby boomers retiring, and the corporations know it, the corporation will probably be on almost death's door before you're let go. They may tweak your hours a little bit. By God, you'll probably have a job. Now, if you're sitting up there writing code, or you're an area manager, or department manager, or product manager, I'd be sweating. Because you know what? Company really don't need you. They can find other ways. Right? But that worker out there in that manufacturing line, or that electrician or plumber, they're generating revenue. And that's what's most important in a recession. And look here, 2.1 million manufacturing jobs could go unfilled by 2030. If you've watched my videos for any amount of time, I said the number one concern this country has is an underpopulation problem. My generation and the generations under me aren't having babies like our parents and grandparents used to. It's not. And if something doesn't happen to bring that population up, there's going to be a lot of pain felt for a long time. Now, I do think, and I'll have another video on this, and I've been talking about this for a while, that we're going to have a new roaring 20s before too long. Pardon me, had to get a beverage. So this goes back into these people, a manufacturer. If you have a manufacturing job, it's gold to a corporation, and they know they can't replace you, right? So you're going to get wined and dined while the guys in the back office are sweating bullets whether they're going to keep their job or not. Typical before, you were the first ones to get cut because they knew they could replace you easily. But the guys in the back, they were all college educated, tough to replace, right? No bueno, not anymore. You are the one difficult to replace. People with a college education, dime a dozen now. And they're all strapped with student loan debt, and they'll work for pennies on the dollar. You, the manufacturing worker, other than a car payment, you ain't got nothing hanging over your head beside a car and a house payment or rent. Right? Strength. So you're going to, over the next 3 or 4 years, you're going to have a huge amount of push to figure out how do we solve this labor problem. And really all they got to do is look at the statistics, and they'll see what a little simp like Mr. Beefy found out. We have a population problem. And it's not just America. It is Europe. It is Russia. It is China. The only one swinging elbows right now is India. And I believe that is your next manufacturing hub, not China. That's the reason why they're trying to move to a consumption economy like we did. So, gang, this is all for the day. We will see you again pretty soon. And I hope everyone has a good day. Stay safe out there. Be ready to invest. It's time for you to make the money. All right? We're going to retire soon. Mr. Beefy out.